Hi, my name's Owen. I'm an instructor at a school for kids with autism, and I have been asked to share my story as I grew up in a role of a young carer for my brother who has autism and Down syndrome. I don't remember much of my childhood him feeling physically like an older brother. Um, I remember as a kid always pretty much referring to him as my younger brother, even from a very young age. Um, it was never really an issue for me. It was more, he just fit into that role much easier than the older brother. But one thing that I do remember that kind of stood out to me, for the first few years he went to the same primary school as me, which was a mainstream primary school, and I kind of became the kid whose brother had a disability. So he was a very easy target, and then I became a very easy target for kids to pick on, especially when he started transitioning out into a special development school. So he'd spend half the time at the mainstream school, half the time at the special development school. That really kind of reinforced the difference in him and the rest of the students. So becoming a target of bullying was definitely the standout for me, I think. In primary school, I was very conscious of it, and I almost felt sorry for the kids that would pick on my brother and myself, because I was conscious that they didn't understand, they didn't have that awareness, they didn't know how beautiful my brother could be, they didn't know how close we were, they didn't know that deep down he's just like everybody else. They didn't have that exposure, and exposure is hugely important, and that's probably one of the only things that's going to drive change. And most of the things that I'm proud of about myself have spawned from that exposure to someone with a difference, someone with a disability. I've learnt to love without prejudice. I've learnt to be open to anybody because everybody has their own story. You can learn so much from each individual. Everyone's got their own struggles, no matter if they're outward in terms of a physical disability or if they're inward, maybe they have an intellectual disability. If they don't have a disability, everybody still has their own ups and downs and battles and struggles, and there's no way you can know that until you get to know them. So I think empathy and just being open to people, which are two things that I'm quite proud of about myself. Definitely I learnt through the growing up experience with my brother. A young carer is someone that's been exposed to something that you are unaware of, and you can't know until you let them share their story. Quite often it's concealed as well. There are so many young carers out there, and you look around and you might have no idea that they're going through their own struggles, and I think it's being a young carer means you have a little bit extra on your shoulders. There's a little bit more that you have to do than the average person, and that can definitely take a toll, but it's also a massively positive experience. But to make it as positive as it can be without the negatives, it comes back to support and education and awareness.